What's up, traders? Welcome back to another Futures Fever episode. I'm your host, Kevin Dubriske with Benzinga, and do I have a great episode for us? I'm going to be covering some market movements. We're going to cover some market news as well. We had GDP growth this morning. We also had the PCE price index. We also had the personal spending and home sales, which all came up higher than expected. I also have some guests as well. We have Peter Tuchman and David Green. They'll be joining us shortly. They have been trading on Wall Street for over 40 years. They've got great knowledge, great experience, and they bring it all to us here on Benzinga for Futures Fever. What's going on, Fairchild? Escape? What's going on? Ozzy, good morning, hello, and welcome. So guys, what's on today's agenda? We're going to be covering some of the market insights. I'm going to be showing you guys some trading strategies that you could use to pass funded accounts. And I'm also going to be showing you guys what is Apex Trader funding and how could you profit from a prop firm. So let's dive into it. The benefits of Apex Trader funding. Apex Trader funding provides traders with funded accounts. Now, whether you're a brand new trader with zero experience or you have 5 years, 10 years, 20 years, even David Green, who we're going to have on later, has an Apex account and he's able to trade and get payouts from it. And he's been trading for 40 years. Apex is a great system, a great prop firm to get started with, and you're risking very little of your own capital. You get access to the firm's capital to trade the futures market. So guys, remember, Apex Trader funding is for futures trading only. You cannot trade stock or options. You earn up to 90% of the profits. That's 100% of the first 20,000 you make, and then it's a 90-10 split after that. That's on the higher end of prop firms, and you get to trade with the peace of mind that if you blow an Apex account, let's say you have a $5,000 trail stop, you lose 5,000, you're not down 5,000 of your own capital. You simply lose whatever you paid for the PA fee, which is the price action, your funded fee, and the evaluation fee. So once you blow that, you're down the $5,000 account. You get a new evaluation, you start over, start from scratch, and you are not blowing thousands of your own capital. It's a 3-step process. You got to complete the evaluation account. You prove to them that you're a consistent trader, you're not a gambler, and you have proper risk management and you're consistent. They have a 30% rule for the funded accounts for a reason. They want to make sure that you're not just a gambler when it comes to the market, that you're trading consistently and you're able to prove that. You get funded once you pass the eval, and once you get funded, you pass a certain threshold and you're able to take payouts against your accounts. After 6 payouts, you're able to withdraw as much profit as you have, but for those 6 payouts, there is a payout max. So there are no long-term contracts, flexible rules, and scalable opportunities. You could trade anywhere from 1 to 20 Apex accounts. So if you're only making $100 or $200 a day on a 25K account, but you're on 20 accounts, you're going to multiply that $200 by 20, and you're then profiting a lot more. They are running a sale right now, guys. 80% off if you use discount code FFEVER for Futures Fever. This ends today. Today's the last chance to get this 80% off sale. It comes with $50 resets. The lifetime one-time PA fee for any account size is $130. So that's a huge sale in itself, especially for these higher accounts that are also based at a much better sale. 150, 250, and 300K evaluations are now priced down to $297 with 80% discount on top of that, bringing them to just $60. So $60 for a 150K account. You get it funded, you pay $130. In total, you're paying maybe $200 for the ability to take payouts of over $2,000 or $3,000 per payout. 150K account, the payout cap is $2,750 for the first 6 payouts. So guys, you do get a chance to win a free Apex evaluation account. You can enter by filling out the form below. It's going to be in the comments. So fill out the form for a chance to win. Last week's winner was James. James, congratulations. You win a free Apex Trader evaluation account. Now with this account, guys, when you win, you could pick any account size you want. If you want to get started on something smaller, like a 25K account, you could get started there. You want to get started on something larger, like a 300,000. Well, then you could start with there as well. So join us live every Wednesday at 11:30 a.m. for Futures Fever for a chance to win. Now, guys, I'm going to bring on one of my favorite guests, Peter Tuchman. So great to have you. Welcome aboard. So awesome. How are you, man?
Oh, I'm great. I'm great. Thanks so much for having me. It's always a pleasure. I love listening to you. You've got such a great, look, Apex is an amazing platform. I love Benzinga. I've been working with them for a long time, so I'm honored to be here.
It's an honor to have you. So what's going on in these markets? I know we had GDP growth this morning. We had personal income, personal spending. Are these things you pay attention to?
100%. So look, so just to give everyone a little background who I am, my name is Peter Tuchman. I'm known as the Einstein of Wall Street. I know I'm not that smart. I know I look like him. That's probably where I got the name. But anyway, I've been trading on the floor now. Just recently was my 40th anniversary of being on the floor of the exchange. I've had a seat on the exchange for about 38 years. And so my career has changed, in many, many different ways over the years, trading retail, trading institutional, trading convertible arbitrage, all that kind of stuff. Obviously, over the last number of years, I've become more social media minded. Like I've taken it upon myself to basically, I've seen, me and David Green from Wall Street Global Trading Academy found an opportunity when COVID came along, when suddenly you all need to understand that before COVID, right, you needed to be an accredited investor to trade in the market, right? That means you have to prove that if you lost 100, if you open an account with a Merrill Lynch, Smith Barney, any of these places, before the Webull's and before the Robinhoods even existed, you had to prove that if you lost all the money that you were investing in the market, it would have no impact on your standard of living for 5 years. Well, nobody but the 1% of the 1% could ever do that. So when we saw this incredible new access to the markets that happened during COVID through Webull and through all these other platforms, we just said, amazing, what a great thing. We embraced it. Some people are not. They wanted to maintain the exclusivity of the way the markets were handled. Not for me. I'm an inclusive sort of a person. I was really excited that everybody's being invited to this party. However, the one thing that was not done in any of these platforms, okay, was an educational component to it. Basically teaching people how to trade the market. This isn't gambling. It's not a get-rich-quick scheme. It's basically a way of investing in the market and then trading the market, a way of creating some disposable income. And so we put together Wall Street Global Trading Academy. It's a course, 21 hours, 21 videos, 400 hours of archival content, meaning that we coach and mentor all our students in our course. We have thousands of students over the last 5 years, and every Q&A, which is a live coaching and mentoring that we have every Thursday night for probably usually around an hour and a half. It started as an hour. It's now about 2 hours because there's so many people there. We record that, and that's basically students going through their successes and their failures of the week, trading Apex, trading futures, right? Going over everything. And then they ask questions, we answer the questions. Then we put that in the archives and we sort it by subject matter. So anybody who buys our course, who wants to trade futures through Apex and then come to us to really learn about technical analysis and risk management, they get everything that they would ever want. The amount of information that is in the archives, think about it. Every question that every student has asked for the last 5 years is asked and answered and is in the archives, sorted by subject matter. So if you really want to learn, look, the thing about learning to trade the market is you get out of it whatever you put into it, right? You just, this is, as they said, this is not gambling. It's not a get-rich-quick scheme. And so what's amazing is that part of the mastery of Apex is it's made this whole thing even more accessible. Right. So before there was future funded trading platforms, basically everybody had to be you had to have 25 grand to open up a day trading account. And you had certain restrictions. If you didn't, you could trade a cash account through options. You could do any number of things, but you did not have that accessibility to trade the market the way you do with an amazing platform like Apex. So that's cool. But Apex alone is not as valuable as Apex alone collaborated with Wall Street Global Trading Academy, because we teach you all of the ins and outs of technical analysis and risk management, the language of the stock market, how to set up your charts, right? I mean, we have somebody who will help you set up your charts and all that kind of stuff. The 5 technical analysis trades. Now, if you take that and you lop it over with what's going on in the market today, right? It's amazing. So even though let's go over what's happening in the market today. Okay. Look, ever since we obviously have a new administration, there's a new sheriff in town, and obviously, and this is not a political commentary. This is a market and economic commentary. But obviously, tariffs are a big part of his strategy and his policies, right? So look, the market, and it's not particularly a tried and true policy that's worked historically, but Mr. Trump really believes that the U.S. has not gotten their fair share of help, whether it's with NATO, whether it's with tariffs around the world. So that's one of his main premises. However, what happened was when he came into the market on February 19th, when we were trading at record highs, okay, and he started to talk about tariffs. His messaging may not be what markets can handle. Markets can handle virtually anything except uncertainty and surprises, right? And unfortunately, the way that the information has been disseminated about the tariff story has been nothing but uncertainty and surprises. And so what have we seen since February 19th, when the market was trading at record highs? We've seen a market sort of spiral down. We were as low as down 20% in the market at one point. We bounced back about 50% of that. We've gotten back about 10% of it. A lot of stocks have not recovered from the low lows that we've seen. But, you know, where does that leave us? It leaves us, look, we still don't know a lot more. And then we had that Liberation Day. We had the day where Mr. Trump decided to disseminate information about what countries and the amounts of the tariffs there were going to be. Well, unfortunately, that did not give us a lot of clarity either. And so the market has sort of lost confidence. Even Ken Griffin of Citadel has talked about the breakdown in the brand, the erosion of the brand about Buy America. So all of these things, apolitical, has left us in a situation where we've got amazing volatility. So while volatility is not really the lifeblood of an investor, it is the lifeblood of trading, right? Day traders should not care. And I suggest that, well, I'm not your financial advisor, but I should suggest that everybody has an investment account and a trading account. And the two shall never twain to meet, right? Because it will just confuse you. And it's a different mental strategy. It's a different psychology. Long-term investing is one thing. That's something you do on your own. And I'm not an advisor. Day trading, I do know a little bit about. And day trading is what I do here on the floor of the exchange. I built a strategy around the S&P 500 about what information we have on the floor. It's not information I can disseminate to you all, but it's what is the lifeblood of what I do on a daily basis. But day trading and technical analysis, the futures, loves this volatility. It is the lifeblood of a successful day trader. Okay. And so there are ways, there are rules, there are commandments that make one a good day trader. David Green is the master. He's not here today. So I'm going to give you more of a breakdown of why we're where we are and give you some breakdown of what Wall Street Global does. He'll be back with us next week and he'll give you more of a real hands-on, the deep nuance of the technicals and risk management, which what Wall Street Global does. But look, you've got Apex, you've got accessibility to the market, which is amazing. All the barriers to entry are down. Okay, but you still need the educational component. You still need to set how you set up your charts. You need to understand what the futures are. You need to understand what support and resistance are. You need to understand how moving averages work. You need to understand how risk management works, that you need a stop order on every trade. There are certain commandments. Those are the rules of discipline and consistency that are imperative if you're going to trade this market, right? Throwing a dart at a wall, listening to Uncle Herbie on the internet, FOMO, hype, hope. These are not sustainable trading strategies. They're just not going to work. And what we're seeing in the new world of trading under Mr. Trump's world is that you can be in the trade for the right reasons. You can be in the NQs, the MESs, the ESs, whatever futures stock you're in, ETF you're actually in, you can be in it for all the right reasons. Everything is set up. Moving averages are setting up. RSI is right. Pivot points. Whatever technicals you're using, and we suggest we use exponential moving averages, EMAs. We use pivot points. We use RSI, relative strength index. All of these things within the technical analysis space represent support and resistance. That's what gets us in a trade, right? And the bottom line is price action and technical analysis are the only reasons you should be using to trade this market. Okay, that's what's working now. Fundamentals don't work. Think about how powerful it is that over the last number of weeks, we have so much uncertainty in the market that companies like United Air and Southwest Air and some of the big American Air and even some of the banks were not able. There's so much uncertainty around the tariff story that so many of them were not even able to give guidance, right? Earnings are what happened last week. Guidance is what's happening next week. Guidance is what the forward-looking activity and behavior of a stock is going to be. And if you don't know what the price of goods sold, if it's a product or tariffs around your company, then you don't know a lot more than you know. And if you don't know of these things, then companies can't give guidance. We have not seen a situation where companies cannot give guidance since COVID times, right? So much uncertainty around what was going to happen in the future that in November 2021, Jamie Dimon said, for the first time in my career, I am not able to give you guidance on what JP Morgan as a stock and a company is going to do because I don't have enough information. That's what suddenly happened in the last week. There is a lack of clarity. There's a lot of uncertainty. There is no information happening going from the administration and the White House to the trading and investment public, to anybody. We still don't know a lot about who's getting tariffed, how much it is. And so what you have right now is you've got, I've been doing a thing on CNN recently. I got hired to start doing a show every night on CNN. It's probably for it's been 2 weeks, but a couple of months probably. And I'm working with a guy named Dan Ives, who's the #1 tech analyst in the world, works for Wedbush. He's the guy who sort of called NVIDIA. I'm sure you all have been trading NVIDIA. If you're not completely doing futures and you pick a couple of stocks to trade that have some really nice volatility, NVIDIA is one of them, part of the Mag 7. It's the biggest AI stock. Right. But it's one of those names that has gotten hurt in the world, and think about it, though. Where NVIDIA goes will affect where the futures you guys are trading is. So you understand, if you're trading futures, that there are the components of the futures are all the stocks that go into those ETFs, and they are weighted differently. So, where NVIDIA goes, so does the ES, so does the MES, right? The futures are based on, even if you're trading the S&P 500, right? Some of them are weighted within those indexes. Some of them are weighted more than others, right? But you'll see that the Magnificent Seven and the whole tech sector, which has been under attack lately, to the point where Mr. Trump has now outlawed NVIDIA from selling chips to China. Well, that's cut them off at the knees. That's going to cost them at bare minimum $5.5 billion. And it's as if they told McDonald's they can't sell hamburgers to people under 10 years old. I mean, it's just not what you end up doing. And so, all of these things are the components that are making for this volatility. And so while from an investing point of view, this volatility is probably causing all of you a little bit of anxiety and angst, as traders, we're loving this anxiety, this volatility, and we should be, right? However, it's really important that we really hunker down, okay, and tighten up our stop orders, right? And be consistent and disciplined. Do not get swayed. We can be in a trade for all the right reasons, in ES, in NQ, whatever you may be trading, and suddenly a tweet comes out or some comment comes out about, what's happening with the tariffs or what's happening in China, what's happening, with guidance, and the market can just go blow up, right? He was talking, this wonderful young gentleman here was talking about blowing up accounts. We don't want to blow up accounts. That is not the motivation of Apex. Apex wants you to be established as a solid trader who's in the market trading responsibly, right? You're not here to blow up accounts and be like cowboys and Indians. You're here to follow discipline and consistency. That's what makes a great futures trader. So if you take what's going on with Apex, what a spectacular platform, and you take what you can learn at Wall Street Global Trading Academy, please come and join us. We had a masterclass last week. It's available on the website. It's free, wsgta.com. We talk about risk management. We talk about technical analysis. We talk about, how to never turn a winning trade into a losing trade, have a stop order on every trade, have a plan when you get into a stock, and when you get into an ETF, when you get into the futures, right? Have a plan. What are you going to do? Anybody can be taught how to hit a button to get in and out of it. It's what you do when you get into the trade. And it's more imperative when you're trading futures, right? Because the futures will move quite aggressively. That's just the nature of the way they trade. So you need to understand about having a stop order on every trade and where you put your stops, whether it's 1% of the price of the ETF or whether it's the average daily range, whatever your parameters are. It's really important to follow those rules. Right. So look, you need to have a plan, a target amount of money you're going to make in your day. When you hit your target, turn the machine off and go home. Right. You need to have a stop order on every trade. And never move your stops unless you're using a trailing stop on the way up as you're making money. If you put a stop order in and the stock goes to your stop and you get stopped out, so be it. There's always going to be another trade in the naked city. That's just the nature of this business. But never move your stop. Look, psychology of trading is one of the main things that we teach at Wall Street Global, because it really makes the difference between a successful day trader and a not successful day trader, right? If you have somebody who's a non-successful day trader, will get into a stock because of FOMO, hype, and hope, right, or Uncle Herbie on the internet. They won't use price action or technical analysis. They won't use a stop order because they don't want to accept a loss, so they won't want to get stopped out when the trade goes against them. They will stay in a losing trade way too long, okay, and they will get out of a winning trade way too quickly, right? They will not take a profit when they can. Imagine a successful day trader. He buys 100 shares at $50 of stock of ETF XYZ, of a future, whatever it may be. Okay, he buys 100 shares, right? And he has a stop order in, and it goes against him. He gets stopped out. So be it. He moves on to the next trade. But the worst thing you want to do is watch it go up. And I'm just going to use the stock because it's easier to reference it because the price of futures is so out of range relatively. But if I buy a stock, for instance, at $50 and I have a stop order in at 49.5 and it goes against me, I stop out, I move on to the next trade. If it goes to 50.5, I sell 50% of my trade. You need to take a profit when you can, not when you have to. So if I sell 50% of my trade, I'm already locking in a profit, and then I move my stop order up to break even. Now I've made a little money, and I can't lose money on that trade. That is one of the greatest things to build confidence as a day trader. I've been doing this for 137 years. If there's anything I can share with you, it's my experience on how to trade and use discipline and consistency to be a successful trader. That's what I can offer you. Dave's going to come on next week. He's going to pull up his charts. He's going to go over the EMAs and show you actual live trading. What I can do is show you the bare bones, the nuance of what makes a successful day trader. So you got to get out. You got to sell half your position, move your stop up to break even. And then if it goes, let's say the stock goes to 51, sell 25% more of your stock, move your stop up to lock in a $0.50 profit. You have no idea as a newcomer, if I'm talking to a bunch of newcomers, what it means to have made a little money and be protecting yourself on the downside, that not only can you not lose money, but you can actually lock in a profit. That builds confidence. The psychology around that is imperative, and it's explosive in your journey as a day trader. And then you use a trailing stop all the way up until you hit against resistance. And by that point, you should be out of your stock. But you need to understand that when you're making money and you have a target amount of money, when you hit your target, you stop trading, go to the beach, hang out with the family. It won't get any better than that. You need to know what to do when you stop, when you're losing, we have bad days, we have losing trades. That's the nature of this business, but you need to know when to stop when you're losing money. If you have 3 max loss trades, turn the machine off and go home, right? You do not, the worst thing you can do is revenge trade, overtrade. That is a recipe for disaster. Why would I want to turn a $100 loss into a $2,000 loss? Because I'm impelled to try and get my money back. I mean, these are the psychologies of a day trader. Successful day trader will have a stop order on every trade, take a profit when he can. If he gets stopped out, he moves on to the next trade. When he hits his goal, turns the machine off and goes home. Take profits all the way up. Never turn a winning trade into a losing trade. Don't be up in the market. Think you've got to overtrade and then turn a winning day into a losing day. These are the things. Know when to stop trading when you're making money and when you're losing money. This volatile market that we are in, and it's not going to get any less volatile. Right now, I as I said to you, I'm on CNN every night, so I'm privy to a lot of what's going on in China with the boats that are all backed up, right? You have to realize that when we have this unknown and uncertainty around tariffs, okay, companies don't know about taking delivery because they don't think about it. If I have a product that costs $20 and I don't know what the tariff is, and the tariff could be 145%, which is what some of the tariffs may be, or 100%. And now, so the product now is going to cost me $40, but I'm not really sure what the tariff is. How can I price it? I don't know the price of goods sold, so I don't even know. People are now already not taking delivery on. There are boats backed up in Beijing port, half full, because companies, small businesses, don't know what their tariffs are going to be, and they can't actually take delivery on some of these things. This is the first time where we may see an interruption of the supply chain that goes back to COVID. You all remember, right? You couldn't get paper towels, couldn't get toilet paper, couldn't get a lot of things. We are up against the possibility of that kind of look. Everybody's been talking about a recession, right? And I'm not a doomsayer. I'm a cup half full person. I am a forever bull in this market. But we are up against a lot of challenges. People way smarter than me are talking about a recession. A recession, by definition, is 2 back-to-back quarters where the GDP is shrinking and coupled with mass layoffs. Well, 3 weeks, 4 weeks, 8 weeks ago, when the market was trading at record highs on February 19th, the R word, the recession was not even a consideration. But over the last 12 weeks, let's say, when the market has sold off as much as 20%, and we've got questions of growth, and we've got questions of layoffs and uncertainty around all this stuff, the possibility is now as much as 90%. Jamie Dimon, 90% chance of recession. This is not me giving you my opinion about what I think about where this market and economy is going. Okay, this is the reality of guys who are way smarter than me talking. So it is a possibility. All of this is not that important except for our bigger lives with our families if you're living paycheck to paycheck. The greatest thing about trading futures every day on Apex is you can make disposable income. You can make a couple $1,000s a day. You can make a couple $1,000s a week. That's the mastery of taking Apex, taking Wall Street Global, right? And putting all those things together into a couple where you learn how to trade the market. You have access through Apex to actually trade the market. You don't have to have $25,000 to do it, right? And you can create some disposable income without losing money. What an amazing opportunity. The accessibilities, the barriers are to entry into this market are down because of Apex, right? And then you add Wall Street Global. We are collaborating with Apex to put together a course that teaches you risk management, money management, teaches you technical analysis. If you take the futures and you put that together with some risk management and technical analysis, you're going to make money in this market, whether it's volatile or not. What you need to protect, though, is your downside risk. You need to have stop orders, right? The bottom line. We are firm believers, zero tolerance level on the stop order thing. If you ask a lot of people why, I work on the floor of the stock exchange. I work with market makers. If you ask most retail traders why they don't, many of them don't use stop orders. If you ask them why they don't use stop orders, is because there's been this thing traveling around the internet that market makers will take a stock down to their stop order, take them out on the stop order, and then run the stock up. It is a misnomer. It is absolutely does not happen. I've dealt with market makers for the last 40 years. Recently, I brought guests on the floor who we went up to because they believe the same thing that most retail traders do, that the market makers are out to screw them over. We talked to the market. They are not even allowed now to see the stop orders. So that is not happening. But everybody needs to follow those rules. If you take Apex and you get all the mastery of that platform, and then you add a little bit of technical analysis and risk management to it, right? And you learn how to hit singles and doubles in this market, you're going to make money. You're not going to be blowing up accounts on Apex. If you blow one up because you ran into a bad trade or you're in a trade and a tweet happens and the market falls out of bed, so be it. But obviously, Apex does not want that to be your premise for trading, right? They've set up the standards to be super, super positive, to help you learn. They've collaborated with us so that you guys have a structure and some education around day trading. And you know what? This can be an amazing time. This is a pivot. We are at the crossroads of one of the most volatile times in history. And if you take the accessibility that Apex offers you and you take the education that Wall Street Global does, go to WSGTA.com, go check it out. We have a masterclass. We did that last week. It's available on our site. It's recorded. It's free. And we talk about trading in the world of Trump. We talk about technical analysis, risk management, money management, right? We talk about Apex. We talk about trading the futures in a big way. We have pivoted now almost 85% to the futures market, because it's so accessible. It's such an amazing thing when the markets are volatile the way they are. And it's such an amazing opportunity for you all who are, some of you are newcomers, some of you have been with Apex for a while, but now is your time. This is your time to shine and learn how to do this, because the next 3 or 4 years are going to be volatile. That's a surety. And if you have all the tools that you get from Apex and you get the tools from Wall Street Global Trading Academy, you can kick butt and make a whole bunch of money. So I'm done with ranting.
Peter, man, thank you so much for your time. And what a rant. All just great knowledge, spewing amazingness. Something I wanted to touch up on was there's a lot of misconception.
Did you freeze?
What's that? I feel like, and tell me if you agree, that there's a bit of a misconception that people think the difference between a profitable trader and a non-profitable trader is their win rate, when what the real difference is how they handle their wins and losses. lost him. Peter, you there?
Where did you go?
All right, guys, make sure you hit that like button, hit that subscribe button. Make sure you join next week for Futures Fever as well. Get a chance to win a free Apex account. The link's going to be in the chat right now. So make sure you guys check that out, fill it out for a chance to win a free evaluation account. Join me next week. We'll have David Green back in our show. We'll go over some technical analysis, maybe even spot some live trades and make some money. All right, guys, I'll see you later. Next time, hit that like and subscribe button. Take care.